The Future of Learning by Brittany Whitbeck. We have entered upon a new era in which our everyday life is changing rapidly. This new era will no doubt have a major impact on the way education prepares learners and the reasons individuals pursue learning in the first place. Over the next decade or so, our lives will become so intricately linked with technology that we can expect to find ourselves to be ultimately living as partners together. With these changes will come new doors of opportunities that will open up a wide range of possibilities that we can help shape. With this predictive forecast for the future of our learning, we will be discussing these major key players: assessment designer, community intelligence, cartographer, eduvators, learning fitness instructors, and learning journey mentors. Assessment designer is exactly what it sounds like. Assessment designers are specialists who develop and implement all the inclusive educational assessments. These designers are held accountable for data evaluations, research integrity, and the success of the projects. Some designers are focused on K-12 settings and higher education, but there are those that conduct corporate training as well. Educational assessment designers can do everything from creating a new evaluation tool to designing a self-assessment diagnostic tool. The designers should be familiar with the basic principles of quality evaluations: fairness, reliability, content validity, and consequential relevance. The assessment designer should create questions that can measure specific skill and the comprehension of different concepts at different cognitive levels. According to Knowledge Works, assessment designers help learners move across formal and informal, on the job, and community-based learning experiences. They use techniques and strategies from diverse fields such as online gaming, design, and software to identify the best ways for students to show what they know and where they are stuck at. This enables informal learning and lifelong opportunities by providing ways to credential and communicate achievements in multiple contexts. Knowledge Works also talked about the Horizon Learning Associates, which is an assessment design and consulting firm. They are currently working on adapting a type of digital badging system made specifically for NASA's Clean Energy Team Challenge. The Horizon firm has made this digital badge so that, for example, if you successfully form a team, get a commitment from a coach, and submit a plan of action for your project, and that plan is accepted by the committee, you then earn a team formation badge. The more you learn, the more you progress during the challenge, and the more badges you will earn. Next is community intelligence cartographer. This person essentially makes maps, and with maps, there are numerous things you can do with them. They create a way to visualize a region's educational ecosystem and the benefits that can provide for the overall health and vibrancy of a region. They use social media and urban data dashboards to track and manage, while mapping diverse data streams from multiple people. The cartographer caters to a wide range of people to help cultivate diverse relationships and asset sharing in order to help foster a more adaptable community of learning systems that can then contribute to the regions. The cartographers often work with regional directors, organizational leaders, and service providers to help make strategic investments, resolve inequities, and to help strengthen the community. According to Knowledge Works, these maps can help people navigate and explore, and they can also help people understand how things fit together in a certain territory. There are different layers to these maps. One will have a formal learning layer that includes things like the school data, learning centers, and tutors. There will also be an informal learning layer that will show more bottom-up learning resources like libraries, museums, learning quest routes, or community-sponsored service learning activities. Then there is a health layer that shows the region by its health outcomes, safety, walkability, and food access. There will also be a technology layer so that way you can see where there is public Wi-Fi access, broadband internet in homes, community tech centers, and so on. In one community, for example, a group of parents and teachers got together and used these maps to help plan their mayor's issue agenda for his Learning Friendly City Symposium. Another big impact that the Tri-Valley Learning Commons creates is showing the multiple effects of learning investments. That is how rich learning resources can boost other community resources. For example, we integrated all the data on early reading initiatives and created a reading geography map that shows high and low reading zones. We then linked dollars invested in reading to other attributes like academic performance, social, emotional health, obesity, and parent engagement in schools. The next topic I'll be discussing is eduvators. Eduvator is an educator and an innovator all rolled into one. According to Eduvators on Blogspot, this is a professional who knows that there needs to be a change to our educational systems that should be mandatory and possible to do so. According to the Alan Gray Orbis.org, there was created by 7 Alan Gray Fellows. The students collaborated together because they shared a common interest, which was the desire to contribute towards helping solve the urgent crisis in South Africa's education system. The concept of eduvators involves crowdsourcing source funding that will allow the citizens to donate a small contribution that would be used to help make improvements to the classrooms of underprivileged school systems. All benefactors would be able to observe the results of their contributions in real time via technological platforms. The current pilot project for Eduvators is Three Sisters Educare in Philippi, Cape Town. Three Sisters Educare, a school for impoverished children, stands amongst the shacks and dusty playgrounds of Philippi, an informal settlement in Cape Town that is home to approximately 191,000 people. Eduvators' campaign would enable the building of two double classroom blocks along with toilets and kitchen facilities for Three Sisters. This amount of money seems like a lot to ask, but Eduvator also offers an easier fundraising strategy. They ask 5,000 people to donate what would be less than the cost of a single restaurant meal, but altogether it would pay for their school. Learning fitness instructors, according to Knowledge Works, will work with learners, their families, and educators to build and strengthen their cognitive, emotional, and social capacities in support of learning. They use simulations, biofeedback, mindful techniques, software-based games, and hands-on activities that will help learners reduce stress and to help develop their cognitive muscles. The instructors will conduct a formal learning fitness inventory at regular intervals to assess any changes in their learners' cognitive readiness. They work in diverse learning settings, including schools, home-based learning programs, community learning centers, and public youth programs, offering individual and group training sessions and prescribing learning fitness plans. There is a focus on teaching learners of all kinds and their parents and learning agents on how to detect and migrate from potential impacts of stressors and distractions that can get in the way of learning. The instructors would educate the learners about the brain, how it develops, how it works when it's thinking in different ways, and how it gets tired or distracted based on what you're doing. Just because kids show up for their learning experiences doesn't mean they're fully prepared to learn. If you were a serious athlete, you'd change your diet, have a stretching regimen, do different kinds of workouts. You might even meditate, and you'd watch your sleep. If you're really committed to being the best learner you could be, or to developing the best learners possible, you pay more attention to conditioning the brain and the body. This is about creating a smart learning style. There are some big challenges around how we judge performance if some kids have access to learning fitness instruction and others do not. The pressure to do well in some learning experiences and communities is so high that people will do whatever they think they can to give them an edge. There are kids taking off label learning jugs, maybe even getting them from their parents without really knowing how they will interact with their own body chemistry. Or they want expensive brainwave mapping done when they don't really need it. And of course, there are the equity issues. Who's got access to all this stuff? Sometimes kids are afraid that they're dumb and think that working with me or the fitness instructors will show how their brains are deficient in some way. Games can help, and sometimes the shy kids turn out to be more focused and cognitively healthy. and they're suddenly the kids that everyone wants on their teams for simulations and brain games. This kind of thing shows how we didn't use to look at cognitive fitness as a legitimate learning issue, and a lot of learners who may have otherwise excelled were held back because their brains just weren't in shape. Last but not least is learning journey mentoring. This is essentially the backbone of the learning system because this person helps guide children by working with them through their learning experiences. They work within the learner's personal education plans, helping them frame questions and designing strategies in collaboration with learners with similar interests. The mentor helps the learner connect with people, resources, and activities that will help them along with their learning path. They work directly and remotely with learners to help them curate their digital learning life logs and to use them for reflections on their learning journeys and in their personal development. They also work alongside with learning fitness instructors, assessment designers, educators, and other learning agents to help support their learners. As a mentor, this person will help guide the learners as well as the collaborators and show them how to think about what is it that they're exploring. The system the mentors have helps develop genuinely more inquisitive and motivated learners. An example of this job being utilized is through the OPIUS Hub. According to Knowledge Works, when learners are using OPIUS Learning Hub, the kids can move on to other learning experiences. They consider what kinds of inquiries they can make, whether they can get access to an art or music studio, and what kinds of networks they'll need to find learning partners and complement their interests. They're accustomed to planning and prioritizing their own time based on what problems they're investigating. This then helps provide a wonderful set of examples of what can be possibly done when you just trust kids and loosen the reins, especially when you flip the model from providing content and answers for them to them developing compelling questions of their own. This makes the real world and learning into the same thing for the kids.